The S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the most important part is Donald Trump and China solidify a deal. And again, it's almost like they set up the end of the week with a little bit of a dip, a little bit of selling, all for the alley-oop, the Dwayne to LeBron James slammeroo, right? Absolutely beautiful when you look at what's happening. Because if we look right now, again, it's like the White House sets up this bad narrative to just paint an even better narrative by Monday morning. White House unveils and details of historic trade agreement with China following Trump and Xi meeting. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit pessimistic after we had Bessent working on a deal with China. I was like, Trump's going to come in here. He's going to mess all this shit up, and we're going to have a terrible beginning in November. Nope. Trump, he said, best behavior, right? Comes out fantastic. Now, as we look in the highlights of this deal, China suspends all retaliatory tariffs and non-tariff measures imposed since March 4th. China issues new general licenses for rare earth exports, pauses new export controls. China commits to end the Fenty flow to the United States. China is to buy at least 12 million metric tons of soybeans. I thought soybeans were just a giant troll. I mean, I understand like this is like an area of our economy, but like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, to be totally honest. U.S. cuts tariffs on Chinese goods by 10 percentage points. The biggest de-escalation of the China-EU relations since the trade war began. What does this mean for me and you, brother? Well, I'll tell you right now. I'd be highly expecting us to push right back into all-time highs, and we're not that far off. Okay, very important to see. We're going to go more into the chart, specifically what you need to be watching, why you need to be watching it, all your levels, everything in between, because I do think on a technical viewpoint there are some definite concerns out there right now. Now, the first ones I'm going to tell you right now. Your biggest concerns right now, these gaps. Okay, you have a gap fill coming into here, which you're pretty close to, around 679, 678 right there. And then you have another gap fill down here of 672, basically into 675, right? So you can see, so pretty illiquid areas. And we know if there's illiquidity, you can move pretty fast, because what is the number one rule we talk about here is if you're a stock and you move up real fast, you can move down just as fast, right? If there's no liquidity going up, there's no liquidity most likely going back down. So very important to understand why we're looking at those things as well. Okay, so I still think there's area of cautions if you start to see any type of selling. But the other side of this is you've seen selling even on Friday. And I talk about, them setting up potentially for a dip or a dump or whatever it may be. But sellers just did nothing. Like, this is the real story here. Like, look at this action as I zoom in. And again, I try to remain as unbiased as possible when we're looking at the market, but you have to look at this for what it is. You break below where this gap starts here, and then you wick and you get right back up. You break below, you don't fill the gap, you push back up. You break below, push back up. It's really just trash action. Or if you look at what's happening from sellers, and it's not what you want to see. And for people that are like, well, Tyler, it's like you're always saying, man, that sellers aren't showing up. Well, they're not. They're just not, because if you go to high time frames like the daily, the chart, when you look at this, it's higher highs and higher lows. And I was very clear, and I've been very clear, is that in order to start looking at a bearish narrative downside, looking for sellers to get aggressive, the very least of what you have to do is break below the 50-day moving average. You just can't do that. And that's why the chart looks just like this, is because you're making higher highs and higher lows. The very very elementary definition of a bull trend, right? Very important to understand that. So there's no question about it. So if you're on that side of we're going to crash, we're going to burn, that's cool. You just have no logical reason to think that. It's like I'm outside at a picnic. It's a beautiful day, sun shining. There's not even a cloud in the sky. And then there's like a random guy who has a mean limp. He hasn't showered in 4 days. You probably think he's homeless and he looks like a danger to society, but he's like, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. You'd be like, that guy's probably should be locked up, like, to be totally honest, right? That's those people right now. So congratulations. We believe you should be locked up, but more power to you, brother. Freedom of speech, powerful tool. We support that for you. Now, obviously, being this bullish in the market, we have a lot of setups that we're going to be looking at today, a lot of setups we need to be watching for and how we're going to attack this. And on the other side of this, we also have earnings. But before we get into all that, to tell you to do a few things. If you want to see exactly how we're trading, what we're trading every single day, the Discord link is down below. Again, every day we start at the same way. And again, we were buying him stock over this past weekend, or on Friday, I started buying it, or Thursday actually. But what we did, how we did it, okay? So you start every day with the futures, what we're looking at there. We go into our watch list from Jordan futures, and then all of our, obviously our top stocks. Then from there, we go into our technicals. These are our scalps, intraday, what we're watching, why we're watching it, etc. Trade ideas, more swing trades, everything in between there as well. And then Jordan posts his recaps as well, which how much he's made, what he's doing, everything in between there also. So it's all there for you in detail. You can see the profits, etc. The links down below if you're interested. No pressure whatsoever. Now, going into this week, where do things get interesting? Now, obviously last week was, I would say last week was one of the biggest weeks we could have had in the stock market, like hands down. Okay, we had, I think, 5 of our Mag 7 names reporting earnings. That in itself was crazy. Then on top of that, we had Bessent negotiating with China to start the week, and then you had Trump finishing it up with Xi on Friday, Thursday, etc. Okay, massive week. The fact that we didn't have any big blunders out there, thank God. Thank God. Crazy. Everything went as good as it could have gone. We had a few earnings that kind of slipped, but I still think things went really well. This week, these are a lot of mid caps that are reporting, and I do think there will be some value in there, but I'm not looking to go crazy. The biggest names I'm going to be looking here on earnings are going to be Hims and Hers. Obviously, I'm buying stock. I'm not trading options yet. If we get back and hold back above the 200 daily moving average, I'll probably get some options as well. But Hims and Hers is going to report after close Monday or tomorrow. And then Tuesday, I'm also watching Upstart here. It's been getting tore up, but you guys know this is one of my top names I like to trade. That's like a mid cap in that small mid cap space. So definitely watching Upstart's earnings, and they are beat up. I also like Katos, one of the larger holdings in IWM. IWM is breaking out, so again, we got to be watching that. You have some of your quantum trash names. We'll see how much money they're not making once again. D-Wave, love to see it. SoundHound, I know you guys like that in New Scale. Oscar will be interesting. I'm all out of Oscar as we traded back into 22, 24, but maybe we get a dip, another buying opportunity. We'll see. So a lot of stuff going on there. If you have any questions, let me know down below as well. But again, going into this week, more of my focus will definitely be shifted towards continuation of the Mag 7 and how we've been making a lot of money there. Okay. I also want to say right now, if you guys want to get all these updates on earnings, everything like that, my Twitter link is down below. You get access to all the trades, what we're looking at there as well. So again, me or Jordan are posting on there literally 24/7. Now, going into SPY, what am I looking at here going into the specific market? Okay. Now, showing you the levels, it's very simple. You're looking, number one, if we get back above 682, in my opinion, I'm looking back into all-time highs on the S&P. What I'd be looking at there, back towards 690, 688, etc. If you start breaking below 682, you got to be looking for that gap fill into 678, possibly down into 673. 2 of the gaps there. You just have no liquidity. So it's like, that's definitely where I'm aiming. That's the daily chart. You can go to the 1 hour. You consolidated here like almost on a full day, but overall, that's where you're at there, okay? QQQ, very similar. I would argue less liquidity, but obviously QQQ looks a lot better. Why does it look better? Clear as day, you can see that you're making higher lows here, basically since, I believe, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, as you can see there. That's what you want to see. Even on Friday, you had the dip, but making higher lows. Tech still looks really strong. Now, if you are to break below this level here, right about there, 624, I would be looking for Qs to fill that gap down to 618, 617, and then pushing back down into your bigger support near 613, which this should be a pretty decent level. I could see a wick filling the gap and then popping back above. What I'd be looking at for myself personally there. Now, as we go more into equities and what we're looking at, okay, this is where things really get more intense for me. Again, the weakest names, I just want to highlight the weakest names first that we've seen over the past basically week and a half, 2 weeks. Number one, Meta. It already was, I mean, it was kind of bouncing back into earnings and then kind of obviously had a free fall. I would be pretty careful here on Meta. I'm just going to tell you now. I like it a lot. I think it's a good dip buy long term, but in the short term, as you're sitting below the 200 daily moving average, I always urge extreme caution. We even had people like inside Discord trying to like go long, and maybe they got in and got out. I don't know what they did, right? Again, their trades are their trades. I don't really care what you guys do. I just post what I do. That's all I do, right? And so you are like, you bounce to the 200 and you reject it. You can clear as day see, like there's no like pretty perfect gap. Reject, push down, okay? So when you're looking back here on the dailies, what I'd be recommending to be looking at right now, I'd be looking for buyers to try to step in. You're like 640, which you're not far off, okay? You can see that level right there. But then once you get below that, there's not a lot to like 600. So I'd be pretty cautious, and you had that little gap there and a little gap here and another gap down there. So there's some pretty big jumps. So as much as I like the stock, I have to have a lot of caution until we get back above the 200, or we start finding buyers at like 640, 635. If we start seeing strong buyers making higher lows, I jump on the fence of getting a little bit aggressive. But what I'm looking at right now, the other weakest name out there, and I want to get these out of the way, is Netflix. And they're actually bouncing because they got announced for a stock split. I personally think Meta is one of the most at-risk large equities right now. When we look at this chart, I don't love the chart. I'm going to be brutally honest. You had the stock split news announced. You jumped up to the 200 SMA. I'll zoom in a little bit, but I think it's important you see the large picture here above everything else. I'm still targeting that kind of drop down here to 1065, 1060. That's just my personal opinion. But as you zoom in here too, you can kind of see it's very similar chart as Meta, right? So you had your earnings, except here on Meta, you actually dropped below the 200 on your earnings. Here you did not. You dropped after your earnings, then rejected, back down, and now you're there again. If you can hold above 1120, I'd really want to see you like back above 1130, to be like brutally honest, or even back above this little level here, 1135, your swing lows from October 2nd. You get back above that, I could see us trading back into 1160, getting pretty aggressive back above 1140. But I would be cautious until then. And you're going to see these weak names. I'm urging a lot of caution because again, like I say, you don't have to time the bottom. You don't have to time the top if you're going short, time the bottom if you're going long. You just have to, in my opinion, understand when the momentum is in your favor so the trade becomes easier, quicker, faster, and you can get in and out of the market. That's especially how I'm approaching this right now. Now, I do think you're getting into the territory to where you're probably going to be able to do some swing trades into like mid-December, maybe even early December to get out of those trades a little bit early. But I think you're gearing up for that end of the year last push into the holiday season, right? You need to understand too, like, I expect if we're going to start getting that last bit of bullish action to the end of the year, which is typically some of our best action, it'll probably last into like Christmas break around the 20th and then like go through the first, and then we'll see like a stalled act. This is more prediction, which I don't recommend doing. But typically from like the 20th to 25th into the beginning of the year, that first week of January, because that's like a holiday week still. It's like there's markets closed for some of those days for New Year's. It's typically the slowest action where we kind of chop around, then buyers get back involved or sellers get back involved in the market. So I do think we're coming upon that last stretch of like, hey, last swings of the year, let's start to get aggressive. But on the weaker names, it's important. As I expect strength, I still urge caution on the weaker names. Now, where I think you can get aggressive is the stronger names. So names I'm watching out here right now are going to be like NVIDIA, semiconductors, which I still think semis look really good. And if you looked at how we kind of traded on Thursday and Friday, yes, we had some downside in the market. Don't get me wrong. On the other side of this though, look at how these names like TSM, AVGO are responding and reacting, okay? TSM, clear higher lows. And I think it's important that you take a step back and look at higher timeframes here because again, I'm expecting like over the next 20, 30 days to see basically like just continuation. Now it might not be the fastest, it might be some stalled days in there, but I do think this is where people are gonna make some of their money. So when you look at these trends, understand TSM clear, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. This is going all the way back into September. I think TSM could have another big blow off the top. Pause towards 320 looks really good. AVGO, really, really solid, right? You just made a new all-time high. You're kind of, it looks like a flag here on the hourly. Call me crazy. Number one, bitch, you cannot replace me. This is what you like to see, right? Coming back into your previous all-time high, a little bit below. I will say you're a little bit below here, but if you get back above 374.5, it's a slam. I'm not talking about the Houston Cougars back in the 90s. Back in the 80s, right? I'm not talking about 5 slamma jamma. This is a slamma, right? This is what you like to see. This is what you want to see back above 374. It's a long, okay? Below this, a lot of caution back into 360, 356. But again, it's setting up, okay? And I think you can get kind of aggressive back above that level there as well. And again, semis just look good. They look really good. AMD, again, very similar action. Trending at all-time highs, flagging on a higher time frame, looks really set up, really solid action. Amazon coming back into the previous all-time highs. And I will say, if you're unfamiliar with this channel, unfamiliar with how I like to approach trading, different stocks, setups, getting a break and retest of your previous all-time high is typically one of the best setups that you can get. And if you're like, what does a break and retest mean? What is a BRB? What is, whatever, right? You want to see action just like this. You want to see a break of your level, a retest of said level, and then push back up. And typically when you start getting off that level with buyers is when it's like go, go, go. And you put stops below whatever that latest wick is. You can even drag it out to open up your risk a little bit more so you don't get stopped out. But coming back into 242, 243, I think Amazon might be one of the biggest setups out there. Now, again, I do think there's some inherent risk out there. So you want to make sure that you're buying off that comfortably because, again, you have a giant gap all the way back down. I mean, really all the way back down towards 220, but 233 to be safe. So it's very important to understand what you're looking at, why you're looking at it, but I still think Amazon earnings were awesome and a good place as well. So again, how my head is kind of working around these as well. Now, also, I said some of those mid caps are reporting earnings this coming week. So again, these are all stock plays for me. I started buying a HEM stock near $45. I still think it's a buy personally. You want to see us get back above the 200 SMA. Above the 200 SMA, you can look for longs on options. I'm kind of on the fence there. I don't really want to get crazy on options yet. I've made a lot of money trading this just for shares. And like my mom taught me when I was young, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why change it up? So again, where I'm at there on HEMS, I haven't fully loaded into a position. So I'm actually kind of thinking we come back down to 42.40. We'll see, but that's where we're at right now. Also, too, we've gone over a lot with SoFi holding your previous all-time high, 28.4. Again, if you're unaware, like I said, previous all-time high retests are also pretty amazing, 28.4 there. So you can see how we're responding here, how we're reacting. That is what you want to see back above 30.3, looking for continuation of breakout. Now, I also went into HEMS. I mean, there's a lot I'm going into today, right? When we go into HEMS, we go into these stocks, going into IWM is very critical. It's very key. When you look at how the IWM is working here, again, you are breaking out of your channel, out of the structure, right? This has been your range for the past 3 to 4 years, okay? Before that, like I said, your previous range was 2018 to 2021, 2020. Before that, it was basically 2014 all the way into 2016 when you broke out. Before that, it was your 2008 bubble crash, right? You bubbled down, came back in, you broke out from 2013 and basically into 2014, it went berserk. So again, IWM is in that breakout opportunity, very similar setup. You're breaking, retesting previous all-time highs here on the weekly. It's a very good, clean setup. And this is ultimately what you want to see for continuation, finding buyers. And what does this mean? Am I looking to go long on IWM? People keep asking me, like, Tyler, what are you looking to go long on? I'm not looking to go long on IWM. What are you talking about? Like, what are you, like, get your head out of the sand. Please listen. When IWM is breaking out, it's a major risk on signal, meaning the market's triggering, let's get out of currency, let's get out of the dollar, let's put our money into the market, and we're turning our risk tolerance on. Very important to understand that. Risk off means I want to go to the dollar, I want to go to gold, I want to get out, I want to be safe, right? Right now, there's a risk on sentiment, okay? The other part of the understand is with tariffs cooling down, you have to expect, again, the idea of yields, the 10-year yield, also tracking back down as well. We want to see yields continue down. We want to see the Fed continue to want to cut, especially with what's happening with tariffs, what's happening with inflation, et cetera. And where things get even crazier is going into the end of the January. Powell's term going to be up. Who does Trump want to replace? So I expect to hear a lot of stuff out of the White House, out of the Trump camp, about what they're going to be doing, rumors of who's going to be replacing, and the idea, you want to start hearing, what is the rhetoric, what is the idea of rate cuts coming in 2026? And if you start to hear the Trump team, you start to hear, the White House are saying, well, we expect a lot of cuts in 2026. Understand that has nothing to do with the current state of the Fed. It's a very important thing to understand. That will have zilch, nada to do with the current state of the Fed, okay? That is all going to be about what they're expecting to happen with the new Fed chair that they put into place or attempt to put into place, okay? Very important to understand that. And that's going to be where things really tick off because, again, as bullish as I am right now, I do think going into like February, March, you're looking even better, like to be totally honest. Because once this starts happening of cutting, will it cause problems down the line? I do think so. I do think it could cause some serious issues in stagflation potentially. But at the same time, I can't think as a trader. I can't be saying, okay, well, I can't really trade right now, guys, because, I'm really bullish in the short term, but man, down the line, I think we're going to be in shambles. As a trader, as approaching the market every day, I have to approach the market with, how am I making money today? How do I prepare myself today? Yes, I want to protect myself, but what am I doing right now? Where are the opportunities and how to take the fullest of advantage of those opportunities? And that's how my mind's constantly working. And so again, I do think there will be issues down the line, but until then, I'm coasting. I'm chilling. I'm fine. I'm not looking to get crazy. Okay. But again, down the line, I will give more broader updates. But it's important to understand that's what kind of where my head's at there. The other thing I'm watching out here too is going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin. I don't know what the hell Bitcoin's doing. I really, genuinely, truly have no idea. You're holding your 200 daily moving average. Like, thank God. You're making higher lows. Thank God. But you are flirting with you're flirting with death here on Bitcoin. Like, if you lose 108,000 confidently, you start actually finding sellers off that, Bitcoin's gonna get hammered. Like, pretty important to know. But you're holding support so far, but I want to see, as the NASDAQ is pushing all-time highs, I want to see Bitcoin follow like it typically does. But like, until that really gets going, it's hard to like really start betting big. The names I still like for Bitcoin, again, BMNR, I'll probably make a video on it later, but a BMNR, and this is someone commented on a video, they're like, I'm losing so much money on BMNR. Let me address this again. Like, let me make this super clear. I make dedicated videos to specific stocks. So maybe people just like struggle to actually use, the ears that God gave us upon being born, or before that, I guess, but like pretty bizarre. Yeah, let's paint a picture. These zones, I keep saying, these are where I'm buying stock, like actual equity, stock, shares, etc. Where I'm looking to buy options is upon confirmation of a breakout. So if we start breaking above 65 to 64, I will then go into options because we're seeing a breakout. Okay, I'm not looking to buy options as a stock is going straight down and not finding support or finding buyers. I am not trying to grab a knife. I'm not trying to get rich quick. I'm not trying to time a bottom. That's not what I'm trying to do. So as you're coming down, these are where I'm looking to buy stock. If we lose the 200 SMA, I'd probably have to cut my stock, call it a loss. But that's ultimately what I'm looking to do here on BMNR. Make it very clear. That might be too confusing. I don't know. But I've said this plenty of times. So if people were like losing their mind, someone's like, I'm going down so much. I'm like, if you bought shares at $51, which I probably wouldn't have done as you broke the 50 MA, but if you did, you're down 10%. Like, that's your big loss. First time, right? With a meme, like first time, like for real. So where my head's at, kind of what I'm thinking about there. As far as the market though, I think, dude, I really believe you look primed. You look really good as the market as a whole. Again, what I'd be watching here, another big name out here too, as much as I'm so bullish, Oracle. If Oracle can get back above 270, I'm looking to go long, back into the 50 SMA, then back towards 290. But if you get below 260, looking for that gap fill down to 245, give or take, definitely be watching that. Again, going into ARM, one of my favorite names, you guys know I love it on this channel. You hold 164, you're still looking pretty bullish. You hold above this level here too. There should be a level right there. Little previous high right there. You hold above 168, you look really good. That's more recent. But your big level you want to hold is 164. It's been a monster level for the time being as well. So definitely be watching that. Went into AVGO, went into Netflix, went into TSM, Amazon, Meta. Apple's at all-time highs. You can't really do too much with this. Still looks really good though. We'll say that right now. Big test will be 264 if you get it. So what I'm kind of looking for there as well. Went into AMD. Palantir has earnings. Steer clear for right now. Be head on a swivel on that one. Microsoft back into 517. Looking for buyers at the 50 MA, back above 518, looking for the push back into 524, 525. Very strong name there as well. Eli Lilly, I actually let this one almost slip. Eli Lilly back above 860 looks really good. If we get back into 890, 885, really strong name there. Love to see this. Also lines back up with HIMS finding buyers. Definitely good. The last sector I'll cover here, it's already a really long video, is going to be CrowdStrike. Bull flagging at all-time highs. I'm not going to... I knew when CrowdStrike had the breakout back here, and I was mentioning on Twitter, we mentioned in Discord at like 510 going into 545 and went to 550, which is crazy. I knew it was going to have a monster breakout because it was his first all-time high breakout in a while. I'm a little less confident here. I do think it looks good, but I'm not going to sit here and have a $40 push up. I would just be watching it. I don't want to set clear-cut targets. Maybe 560 can happen pretty easily, but what I'd be kind of tracking, looking at. Cloud names in general, cybersecurity look really good. PanW also looks really strong. Definitely responding how you want. CRM is the most value. It's the biggest value name out there. And I think CRM this week could be a hot trade as well into the 200 SMA to 270, especially with continuation. I've been saying CRM Salesforce, great buy opportunity down here at 235 into 220. You buy it, you forget about it. It's a great looking name. It's probably the best value name when we look at large cap stocks. I'll tell you that right now. People might not like that, but it is what it is. Snowflake, another big cloud name, and Donnie in Discord was hammering this one. We were talking about this all in Discord. I mean, we were talking like about this. And I told Donnie, I was like, if you sell this name, I'm never gonna let you live it down, you cornball. And if you go look at this one, you can see we've been talking about like crazy here. But again, like we mentioned right here, getting above that, literally have no liquidity all the way like into 290, 300 minimum. all the way down here is when we were talking about 241 in Discord. So again, what we're looking at, if you have any questions, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. See you guys in the next video. Have a good one, traders.